welcome everybody. Welcome to the panels that will discuss about TYPO3 in the Americas, in North America, Central America, and South America, the present and the future. And we have here with us four great panelists who come from various regions of the American continent with different experiences, different backgrounds, and we'll see what expectations and plans. So I'm looking forward to know more about their activity and also about their ideas, and to let the conversation flow in between us, and of course helped by our audience, who please, I encourage you to ask questions and contribute to this. So we'll start with, let's say, from north to south. We will start with Philippe. Philippe, you have a TYPO3 agency in Quebec, Canada, and you've been with TYPO3 since quite a long time. And we do know a bit about the fact that TYPO3 is strong in Canada, or stronger in comparison to other regions of the Americas. And actually, 1 hour from now, you will do another presentation on the case of the government of Quebec, which I'm sure it will be very interesting. So, Philippe, tell us a bit more about yourself, your company, your experience with TYPO3, and the current state of TYPO3 in Canada, in your region.
Yes, okay, so hi everyone, I'm really happy to be here and to talk on this panel about TYPO3 in America. I've been working with TYPO3 since the last 15 years, I would say. So my background is I started working with TYPO3 while I was at the university. I was in computer science studying, and I always wanted to start my agency. So when I started, we decided to use TYPO3 as the default content management system. So we've been quite lucky here in Quebec, the province of Quebec, because starting around 2004, we'll have much more details about this in the next presentation, because the guy who, let's say, incepted TYPO3, who invited Casper around 2004 to make a presentation to the government agencies about creating a website, will be presenting with me in the next session. So basically, we've been quite lucky because TYPO3 is being chosen by the government and public agencies. So they develop some expertise in-house, and there's an ecosystem of agencies that has been working towards creating a website and supporting customers. So yeah, that's around the story of TYPO3. And for Toumoro, so we're an agency. We're based in Quebec City. We do design, development, and cloud hosting. We're specialized with TYPO3 and AWS. So we've been lucky enough to participate in the biggest projects of TYPO3. So we had a quite broad expertise, quite a lot of experiences with super interesting project with public objectives. So yeah, that's about our side.
Thank you very much, Philippe, and we'll surely go deeper into the Canada case usage and perspective as we follow. To US, Paul is coming from Vermont, and he has an agency, actually, as we know, one of the few agencies who are strong in keeping the flag up for TYPO3 in the US, and we are very glad that we have you with us. So Paul, tell us about your encounter with TYPO3, your story with TYPO3, your agency. What are you doing in the US and with TYPO3?
Thank you. Well, yeah, it has been a journey for me. I've been using TYPO3 for almost 17 years. I actually do think there are quite a few people using TYPO3 in the US. We just need to find them and connect with them. So this is something that I've been working on as a new member of the TYPO3 marketing team. A few months ago, I started making these connections by reaching out to agencies that I knew had been using TYPO3 in the past, that included Philippe, actually. And I'm excited to continue this effort in the new year and see where it goes. So let's connect. So Ecopixel, we specialized in TYPO3 since 2004. We design, develop, and maintain websites for customers with a long-term vision. So for us, that means conservation organizations, other nonprofits, and government. And our first website with TYPO3 is still running after 16 years, and there's still a customer, which is awesome. When I went looking for an open source CMS to serve our customers' needs, I think until that point, I had mostly written my own kind of content management systems, done it a bunch of different ways for the previous 10 years. I knew I needed something better, but I couldn't have imagined that TYPO3 would take us as far into the future as it has. So I made the right choice. We recently developed websites for 2 land conservation trusts that each serve about a dozen towns, actually dozens of towns. Their sites have lots of cool features. They have forums, document libraries, video embedding, media library, great navigation, and all those things are core TYPO3 features. So we don't have any plugin madness. It just works great, and it's awesome. We have another new customer who's a municipality. They do solid waste management. So that means like recycling, composting, trash. And TYPO3 has worked really well for them as well as a government user. And these sites had all been on WordPress and Drupal. So that tells me that, hey, we can move the needle back in the TYPO3 direction. So I'm really excited today to learn from and connect with the other panelists.
Very much, Paul, and I like very much your remark that you've made the right choice, and I'm sure that you did. I mean, we're gathering together, and we are looking forward to build from the current state something bigger, and to prove that you did the right choice. We are moving further to Central America and to Bert. So, Bert, you have quite a story, quite an adventure of setting up an agency in Costa Rica, doing TYPO3 there, and serving quite important global clients from there. Well, regional and global important institutions and development agencies. So, tell us about your journey, about your company in Costa Rica, and about the projects that you do.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes. Let me start at the beginning. It was in the 90s when I graduated from university. I was as a development worker. I firstly was sent to Africa, to Burkina Faso. I did some development work on communication and education projects with the ILO, and then as a second project, the ILO sent me in '95 to Costa Rica. So that's the reason how I ended up in Costa Rica. Then I worked there for 3 years with the ILO on micro enterprise development, and during that period, we created a kind of network working with grassroots organizations, but also with umbrella organizations. And then in 1998, we really felt at ease in Costa Rica. My contract ended with the ILO, but I wouldn't like to quit. So my partner and I decided to look for a way to stay. So then when we talk about 1998, internet was just coming up also in Costa Rica. And so we decided that could be an opportunity to start a foundation. The Galileo Foundation was born from there. And together with a Mexican partner, we started Galileo, and we initially oriented at NGOs which were working with micro enterprise and microfinance sector in Central America, but also in Mexico. And that was the reason that we we got out of Costa Rica is just because the Central America is, we used to work in Central America as a region, and we had a lot of contacts because of my former work with the ILO. So that was one of the reasons we could work internationally in the region. So as I said, we started small as a three staff foundation, and but little by little, the organizations like the ILO, the Ford Foundations, and other organizations got interested in our work, and it started to sponsor our work. We made news portals for the microfinance sector, portals for refugees of the UNHCR. As I mentioned it sounds all as big names, but in fact it worked as a natural flow. We got in contact with them. They liked our work, especially as soon as we got in contact with TYPO3, and as in fact TYPO3 was really selling itself once we show the backend and we show how it worked compared to other systems we had worked before. But since the beginning, in fact, I think we work with larger organizations, but also with the smaller grassroots organizations. And we always have worked with open source as a powerful starting point in our projects. We work with TYPO3 both that has to do with my family story. We worked for about 6 years in Costa Rica with Galileo, and then for family reasons we had to go back to the Netherlands, and there with the skills and knowledge we gained in Costa Rica, we created another agency here in the Netherlands. And then, but during all those years, we traveled back and forth between those organizations, between those countries. So that aliens really was a mutual benefit for both organizations, and that's one of the reasons that I always I'm used to work with other organizations in other countries, and until date, Galileo keeps to work with larger clients like UNHCR, Central Development Bank, but also with smaller organizations at grassroots level, and that's one of the aspects I really love of Galileo, that we can both handle larger organizations, but also small organizations, NGOs, etc. So that's more or less our story with TYPO3. In 2003, we came in contact with Costa. I also met Oliver in the snowboard tour. I think it was one of the first snowboard tours in Kitzbühel, and also with colleagues from Galileo. We went to Atlanta in Texas. So as Paul said, when we started with TYPO3, I couldn't imagine that it would have stayed such a long, bring us so far. So, but until date, I'm very happy with it. So that's my story so far.
Thank you very much, Bert. And you bring a nice insight into this conversation from the perspective of international business development. I mean, from mixing up the experience in various countries and bringing the experience from one country to another, and as well towards, on one hand, international organizations, also local organizations. So we'll talk more about possible approaches from now on. Ubaldo, you're coming from Chile. You're managing a very established company there in Chile, where you've worked a lot with the private sector and well as with the public sector in Chile. And as soon as that we've talked first about TYPO3 around in some month in summer, you were attracted on TYPO3, and I was so glad, so happy that we've made all the diligences to bring you into the mentorship program. And you're one of the mentees in our TYPO3 mentorship program. So Ubaldo, tell us more about yourself, your company, what you're doing, and well, what attracted you to TYPO3, and what are your first impressions about TYPO3?
Okay. Well, my name is Ubaldo, as you said. Actually, I am the president of the group of enterprises that are doing technology from Chile. The name of the guild is Chile Tech. And also I am the CEO of EXE. EXE is a company that has 25 years in the market. We develop a lot of solutions in document management area for for government. We have a complete solution for document management, very oriented to the public sector. So our first interest was to explore TYPO3 in order to see if we can replace some pieces of our solution with TYPO3. And of course, talking with Daniel, he told me that it was possible. So after that, we start with the baby steps in order to know more about the TYPO3 solution, and then I enrolled in the mentor program. Actually, I'm working with Anja. Anja is my mentor. So of course, I discovered that I really like the capacities of TYPO3 in order to have multi-sites, the clear separations between the templates and the content, and of course that really fits very well with our requirements to develop new solutions. So we are very interested in TYPO3. We think there is a great opportunity to replace some solutions that actually are built on top of WordPress in Chile, not only for the public sector. We think we have an opportunity with the private sector also. So for us, it's a very good beginning with this relationship between TYPO3 and us. And of course, I really want to complete the mentorship program and then go directly to start working with
very much, Ubaldo, and we are looking forward to the first project you implement in Chile with TYPO3. I mean, that's the goal of us all. Now, when talking about TYPO3 in the Americas, well, it's such a huge area, and you're representing various countries and various backgrounds and various experience in them. I would like to ask you, is it feasible for us to talk about, let's say, big regional market, or actually we're talking about country level markets, and then we'll see? I mean, when we're talking, for example, Paul and Philippe, about North America, can we think about a way to approach that continent as a whole? I mean, Canada plus US, or actually the realities, business realities, and so on in US versus Canada require that we have a different approach? Because I know that you've worked together and you've talked together, and you've made also some plans. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I think the approach has to do with the number of people involved. So initially, to have enough of a community and enough voices, enough diversity, I think maybe we do look at North America or all the Americas. It depends on who's involved. And then I think the goal should be to bring it more local so that there can be a weekly meetup or a monthly meetup, so that we get to that point of community. So it really comes down to who's initially involved. And in the past, there was a TYPO3NorthAmerica.com website that's defunct, but that's been the basis for my work recently, which is I got some list of some people out there. I'm going to start calling them up. So that's what I've been doing, and I think we'll build bridges from there. I think there's two sides of it, of course. There's the business side, where we prove to companies that there are people using TYPO3, that there is this diversity of agencies. So if they don't like the first agency, they can bring their website to somebody else. And maybe they have that in Quebec, but we certainly don't really have that in the US. And the other side of it is just building a community around this association, around TYPO3. It's a great place to do that. So to me, it's who is involved.
Let me follow with you, Paul, since you're saying that you've been searching or researching the status of TYPO3 and who's doing that in US. So what did you find out so far?
Well, I believe there are fewer agencies using TYPO3 than there were 10 years ago. I also think there are quite a few agencies in the US who we just don't know about. And this has been a really terrible year. But one thing it's done is it forced all these meetings online. So in the past, I could never really have participated in these code sprints for TYPO3 because they were all taking place in Europe, and you couldn't fly there for a weekend and do stuff that's not economical. But now I can participate as well as anybody else because it doesn't really matter where you are. So it's really opened up TYPO3. I mean, it's been forced to happen, but it really has opened things up. So I think there are people like me who just saw it as kind of focused in Europe, happening in Europe, and this is great software I can use, but there was really no way to engage with the community. And I think now that things are forced to be online, we can connect them. And the other thing that's going to connect them is there are all these initiatives in TYPO3 that are with the goal of building that. So we've got your Community Expansion Committee. There's a guidebook coming out in English in I think in a month or so. There's this agency startup package, which will be really useful. There's a mentorship program. So all these new initiatives in TYPO3 to bring it, to expand it. So the timing is great, for sure.
Thank you, Paul. And you're mentioning very important points. In order for TYPO3 to expand, we need community. And I would also add, we need champions. Like you're taking the position of not only looking for what's going on with TYPO3 in US, but also getting involved into reaching out. Your recent involvement already into the marketing committee of the association, and you're very present and interested in this discussion. So I will move to Philippe and ask around the same idea. We know that actually the government of Quebec and the Quebec region is using TYPO3 for quite a long time. I would be interested, how deep and how large is the TYPO3 in Canada? Well, is it only in Quebec? Is it in other places? And what do you consider to be the potential next level market of TYPO3 starting from Quebec? Is it Canada? Is it North America? Is it something that we can mix together? How is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the market in Quebec is quite particular because it started early. So we had the exposure to TYPO3 early. There were incentives for agencies to choose TYPO3 as their tool. So I think it's quite different. As Paul said, the community was stronger maybe 10 years ago. We used to have these T3Con North American conferences. There was one in Quebec City in 2012, so this was quite popular. But right now, some of the agencies stopped using TYPO3. Some of the workers, or let's say the senior developers, also stopped working with TYPO3, moved on to some other things. For example, we've got a really strong startup community in Montreal with a lot of AI going on. So people start going to other things. So we lost a few people knowing TYPO3, not only agencies. So this pandemic, I think, is a new opportunity to seize how we could develop better communities by going online also. So this could make it possible to develop the all Americas an whole. So, but there are some differences. For example, what we've seen is it's like a snowball. So the more you push, the more the snow, the more it's big, because I've seen some requests for proposals, for example. So they say you got to choose a solution, to propose a solution which has a strong community, so we can go to other agencies if necessary, if you don't do a good job, for example. So this is more like how living is the market. So that's quite important. And I don't think in this area the government would consider other agencies than local, like provincial agencies. So we couldn't work, we could participate with other people, but we need local strengths to do that. And if we separate the public market from the private market, the government market, we used to work for cities, we used to work for school, for high schools, for universities, for example, and so on. But if you take a look at the private market, TYPO3 needs to get more popular. We are always directly competing against WordPress, against Drupal. Drupal is quite popular in America. It's in USA. They have this Buy American thing. So basically, like the White House site is with Drupal. So we're always having to be against this. So I think one of the way we could develop, let's say, the public sector with TYPO3 would be by using our examples in Quebec City and in Quebec province to showcase in other provinces and other countries what we've been able to do with TYPO3. And as we've got some particularities, for example, about language, things needs to be in French and English always. So we've really using TYPO3 to the maximum. And we'll focus on the Quebec.ca website on the next session in half an hour. But this is a really, really good example of what we can do with TYPO3. This has been a really efficient tool for the government for communicating during the pandemic. We'll talk much about this later, but I think it's a really good example. But on the private side, we will need maybe more agencies or more companies choosing TYPO3 or wanting TYPO3. I know a lot of people from Germany, and for example, what I hear is that some customers comes to their agencies asking for TYPO3, and we don't have this here. If it's not a government agencies, yeah, it's not true. We have some like German companies that have subsidiaries in Canada that wants TYPO3 because like the headquarter has TYPO3. So that's the real reason why. But yeah, we would need more companies to see TYPO3 as the solution, for example. And I think that the demo site that has been launched recently is really interesting as a tool to prove that what we can do with TYPO3, because people can go and see really quickly something made already, showcasing the best features and showing what we can do with this without having only the word of an agency, for example.
Philippe, if I understand it right, while you have a very strong showcase of in the government of Quebec of taking TYPO3 as the model, still this is not enough just to showcase to other provinces, because you'll also need to have the local resources in those provinces. So you by yourself with Toumoro, you cannot just go to Ontario or to, I don't know, other places and just build their websites. You need to have either partners or them to have other agencies there.
I would say this is less true because of the pandemic, because usually they would ask for agencies in Ontario, they would ask for agencies in Ontario, but Canada is a whole, so you can easily, like our business is a Canadian business, it's not a Quebec business, so we can work easily with any other provinces. I would say that I haven't heard much about other agencies outside of Quebec that has the same reach for the public sector, but there are some people in Toronto, there are some people also, there were some people in BC, British Columbia, and I think any government should also benefit from TYPO3 the same way as Quebec government did, because basically they have almost the same needs. So yeah, we would need partners to have this local aspect of the whole thing, but I would we would be able to work remotely right now. This is maybe something we always thought like would be more difficult, working with people. Like we used to do all in-person meeting with the government, for example, and now we're using Teams. And that's the choice that the government did, but we are so much more efficient right now. Meeting people, whether it be from Montreal or whether it be from Vancouver, that would be the same thing. So that's really a new set of opportunities. We would have done this panel a year ago and I would say the same thing.
All right, very good insight. So that means that maybe the pandemic would even open up a better possibility for maybe for us all, not just for the Canadian companies to work in the public sector in a more wide geographic area.
Mm-hmm.
All right, very good. So we're moving to Bert, and I would ask you. Also, you're working with international organizations. You're also working with regional organizations. But when you're talking about Costa Rica and Central America, what do you see as a market? Can we consider that we could approach the Central American region as a market, or is it actually one country at the time with a very different approach, very personalized approach, in which we could go either towards the public sector or towards the private sector? What do you think about this entire region as a market, as potential? You're muted.
Thank you. Then I think we should distinguish three types of potential clients, of client groups. First of all, you have the public sector, so government, municipality. This is an interesting group because in Costa Rica, since about 4 or 5 years, they have quite a decent, how do you call it? The digital tendency system. So it's a public system, and agencies can look through the tenders, and if they're interested, and if they think they comply with the requisites, they can apply. And these there's quite a lot of bureaucracy involved. But if you're willing to go through this, then in potentially every agency from Costa Rica can apply, and we did some with success and some without success. But that is a potential market at one end. But that is a national market. Another market is, I think, in fact, in that respect, North America and Canada is different from Latin America and Central America. Ubaldo maybe can confirm this or not. In those countries, there is the NGO sector is far more greater than in other regions, and so all those there are lots of NGOs and small cooperatives and umbrella organizations who get somehow money from abroad or from national resources, and that is another market. But I think they have other budgets, so that's not a kind of. But that doesn't say that there is a need for websites at that level. I'm really talking about small websites for grassroots organizations. I think that it's another market. And then as a third market, I think, and that is a really an international or regional market, organizations like ILO, UNHCR, or for example, we actually were working with the English Central Economic Development Bank. It's a regional bank for Central America, and their headquarters is in Tegucigalpa in Honduras. So once you're inside such an organization, you could speak of a regional market, because we as an organization from Costa Rica applied as other organizations did, other agencies from the region. I know an agency from Panama, another from Chile participated in the tendency. Finally, we were the winners, but that the point I want to make is that this is really an open, relatively open market, and at the client side, in this case, the bank, they were really open for. It didn't matter about but we need we need a local organization because we need live content. No, the bank was really for years used to remotely working with suppliers. In this case, a TYPO3 agency. They didn't bother about Galileo. There's a Dutch guy in Costa Rica. He knows about TYPO3, and what kind of organization? No, they just looked at the references. They looked at the track record. They were satisfied, and that's how we got in. So I think that if you're thinking about a regional market, then that could be a regional market, no? So I think there are three type of markets I see, but I don't know what Ubaldo could thinks about this point that Central America and Canada is quite different in that sense from South America and Central America.
Yes. Of course, it's a different market. We think also we have some opportunities in the education sector, like universities, schools, because like Carlos Parque said in the chat, there is a huge market for the universities here in Chile. So I think we can learn from the experience from people in Quebec in order to how to use TYPO3 in the education sector. Also, I see a very good opportunity with the small and medium business because, I think it's almost the same in the other countries and in the other areas because small and medium business are moving to e-commerce. So forced by the pandemic, of course, because they are starting to do remote sales, online sales. So there is a lot of small and medium business that they don't have even a website. So they have to implement a website and maybe an e-commerce or anything else. So I think maybe we can do it well on
that.
Do
you see, Ubaldo, also since you're talking about the regional market and the market that has a lot of potential? Do you see it also, yes. Let's say, from your point of view, from a Chilean company that starts with TYPO3, that these companies can reach the regional market at large, or is just still a national bound market?
No, I think we can do it. We can expand to another markets. Usually, we have commercial relationships with Colombia and also Mexico. That are typical destinations for commerce. So I think we can do it well with that markets. Argentina is a different history because Argentina is a very local market, very focused local market, and they export a lot of services. So I think we are not very competitive on that market. They have low prices and they have a lot of services inside. Also, Peru is another target market for the region. I think Peru also have a lot of needs about this kind of solutions. So it will be great. I think that for me, if I think target market is Mexico, Peru, and Colombia. We call that market the Alianza Pacífico Sur.
All right, very good.
Pacific Alliance.
And we have a question from Paul Fervoy, who's the president of CAMTIC from Costa Rica. CAMTIC being the chamber of the IT industry in Costa Rica. I will put his question in the logic of the perspective of creating synergies in between companies from North America who might want to expand their activity in TYPO3, so to sell more, and that means to implement more projects and so on, and the availability of human resources that for a long time, and even now, the Central and South America are looking to the Northern America as a market for outsourcing the services. Would this in particular be a perspective for actually growing TYPO3 in both regions and in both regions at once? One of the regions may be focusing more on business development, the other region focusing more on the development of implementation capacity. What do you think, Paul and Philippe, from the perspective of the North America? Paul, if you want to take it, and yeah.
Sure. I think that was a focus of the previous TYPO3NorthAmerica.com project, where from the whole region, including the Caribbean, there were agencies listed, and there was definitely that kind of orientation. I'm certainly really interested in any kind of communication and collaboration that we can come up with that builds community and builds interest in TYPO3 from our potential customers. As Philippe said earlier, no one's coming to us asking for TYPO3. They're coming to us looking, except for the government websites. No one's coming to us looking for TYPO3. I would be thrilled if at some point we had somebody come to us that was looking for TYPO3 that was in our market. So that would be a really interesting thing. I think as we have to talk together and figure out how to, I think we just have to start doing it and see how we collaborate and see some of the ideas that come out of this panel today and as we continue that discussion. Philippe?
Yes, and so I think both ways are interesting. Collaboration is a key to success with such a tool as TYPO3. We need, at the same time, we need, let's say we call them resources, people who know TYPO3 or people who have got expertise, and at the same time we need to have the market to allow this to happen. So we need projects, and we need people to put on the projects, and this will create expertise. So I think we could collaborate both ways. We are always into a training mindset. We've trained a lot of customers. I wouldn't say thousands, but I would say hundreds of customers that we've trained, creating internal teams of people. Let's say inside the government, there's many thousand people, hundreds of thousands of people working for the government. So we train a lot of them, and we think this created some let's say started the ball to roll, because they started wanting some TYPO3 expertise also. So if we expand this to, let's say, collaboration between other markets still in America, I think we could leverage these things we did and train teams, for example, to create, if there's a lack of knowledge in both ways, like we could just collaborate on things, but that would be definitely a good way to make it quite popular, I would say. For example, if we use the example of Quebec.ca, which is a government website representing all the websites for 8 million people, this could also be a super showcase to help people. And then we on our side, we already open sourced everything necessary to create this. We could just train people and say you would have such a system, for example, and you would be autonomous. Our goal is to create autonomous entities, autonomous clients, and autonomous partners. And on the other side, we already had the challenge of growing our market of TYPO3 because we lacked resources, we lacked expertise, we needed some other people. We had some opportunities, for example, some requests for proposal for quotes that were maybe representing thousands of hours of work, and we didn't have the volume for that. So this could, I think, both ways be really interesting.
out of this, we could say that as so far and in the past, the TYPO3 America was actually TYPO3 North America. Maybe that could be an opportunity to enlarge this to America's Forum, in which the possibilities and also the capacity could be leveraged in between the countries and the region. I will move to Bert to a question that relates with what he has said regarding the expertise of Galileo and of himself on working with the international agencies. As you're seeing that these are markets, and maybe as well, I'm wondering if you see them as a potential for a partner, not just for a client. Because our experience so far, not very extensive, but still worth noted, is that we worked actually in Rwanda with GIZ, which is the German Development Agency. And the way that this works is that actually these agencies are funding the local initiatives, which do require in themselves the support. So it could be a triangle into which actually by partnering with this organization to foster the development of their goals, not only they reach the goals, they'll build the capacity in the country, and also the businesses who are active in the field can work it out. So do you think that it is possible for your region, for the Central America region, to find this type of partners on dialogue into these organizations so that such partnerships could be formed?
Okay, I think just from our experiences with Galileo, and as soon as we knew TYPO3 as an impressive and powerful tool, during the past 10 years, I think we have trained quite an amount of recently graduated students from different universities in Costa Rica, and we trained them and they participated in our projects, and some projects were small projects, or were international projects in Mexico and in Venezuela, and their skills and potential capacity is very good, very high level. So first of all, I would like to say I do not see, because when we started that, when you think about 10, 15 years ago, communication between Europe and Central America, Costa Rica, there were physical limits. There was a very small bandwidth. Video conferencing was not possible. Once in a while, I participated in workshops and training them from a distance, but it was really a hassle, because we could only do it by audio. But nowadays, as we are doing this video conferencing, this is a great opportunity, I think, for training this potential of students. And I do not see why, first of all, why they could, once they get graduated as a TYPO3 or certified as a TYPO3 developer, why they couldn't participate in projects abroad. So that could be either America or within the organizations. We have worked with the UNHCR project for about 15 years, and they were satisfied with TYPO3, and they were satisfied with, I would say, the kind of support. And there was, through the years, there was always a very transparent communication and mutual support between Europe, and in this case it was Switzerland, and Costa Rica. So from that perspective, I think there is a great potential in training and helping those students from different universities, and using them for projects, TYPO3 projects. So I think there is a great, in a more informal way, as an organization, we did it, so I don't see it why it could be done at a higher level.
Thank you very much, Bert. And this point about the university and the perspective of bringing TYPO3 to university looks to be very strong in our discussion. I mean, we're seeing the interest in South America. We're seeing also, and we found out from the chat that we actually have the University of Bogota in Colombia who's using TYPO3 already. We have Patrick Brun says about the North Dakota State University who was using, maybe is using still, TYPO3, and we have such a great implementation of TYPO3 in universities across all Europe. So this goes in two directions. On one hand, in having the support websites of the university and portals and so on. On the other, on the education area, the one that that Bert is mentioning. And it's still, both things are the strategic decisions of the university. So maybe this would be a very strong way to move towards expanding TYPO3. I will ask one point to Paul, and that it will be something that I would like to know if our perception regarding the specific of the US market is a myth or really a reality, that there are some business cultural aspects that we have to take care if we are to go with TYPO3 in US. For example, that our competitor, let's say especially in the government, the Drupal, has a company behind, and until recently, at least, we didn't have. Was this a stopper? Is our organization, let's say our openness, a stopper to let's say a more business-oriented and strictly business-oriented culture, or not at all? I mean, that's not an issue.
I think that, at least in the small business market, I feel like Americans have this kind of do-it-yourself attitude. The entrepreneur is just like, oh, I can just sit down for a weekend on Squarespace and make my website. And that's a really difficult market for TYPO3 currently to get into. And yet, I've been putting that there's this TYPO3 association with strong, transparent, nonprofit governance in every proposal, because I think it's awesome. I would say the same thing to a business. And I think we're getting there maybe in TYPO3 with the interaction and synergies between typo3.org and typo3.com with the GmbH. But I don't know. That market's not really my forte, so I'm not sure how to shape those attitudes. But for me, having that strong nonprofit is a total win for TYPO3. It says that TYPO3 is going to be sticking around, whereas some private company can do whatever they want. They could sell their product, and that they could get shut down. You know, it's less predictable to me.
And actually, we're talking about business culture, and Paul, you're yourself a businessman. So you're representing this type of business culture that even if it's not, let's say, something that we might say might define US, however, it's quite found, and we can think about many examples like Patagonia or Nike or others who have a strong culture of community belonging and giving back. So and they come from US, and they are strong in there. So this might actually turn into advantage for us if we put it nicely on the market. We are getting closer to the end of this panel, and at 5 we'll move at 6. We'll move to the stage with Patrick Gaumont and Philippe. And I would like to give the floor of each of you for some final remarks with the idea that what we're starting here is just the beginning of a dialogue. So it was not in the plan to make a strategy and then tomorrow to conquer the markets. We would like that, all of us. But this requires more discussion. And I think it's great that we've opened this discussion, and everybody here in the audience is now part of this discussion. So we are building it further. So a round of final remarks about the perspectives of what we can do in the Americas, and I will start with Ubaldo.
Okay. I think what I want to do right now is find some solutions that are already using TYPO3 and maybe try to do some partnership with them and try to explore the local market with these new partners using TYPO3. I'm not sure that was your question, but
that fits exactly. I mean, the plan and the next step fits very well.
Okay, I think I have to look what are the solutions available in the marketplace for TYPO3, and maybe it will be very nice to do some agreements with these new partners and try to introduce these solutions with TYPO3, because we know that TYPO3 is not well known in Chile, and also we don't have the technical support and the skills for the developers and the content managers. So I think it's better to enter to the market with a already built solution using TYPO3, and not start competing with a WordPress, you know, because WordPress is a well-known solution for a development site. So I think it's a alternative strategy to penetrate the market.
Thank you very much, Ubaldo. Bert, you're muted, Bert.
Yes, I think TYPO3 will, as I know it, it will sell itself. My interest primarily is on one hand find interesting projects, and on the other hand, if we start and training people in TYPO3 development, if we find a way to do that, and on the other hand, we can find interesting projects and we can bring those two together, I think then TYPO3 will promote itself. I'm really, especially if we as senior TYPO3 users, if we can help those young people easily from a distance now with this kind of tools, this video conferencing tools and so on, I think there are, I won't say the sky's the limit, but I see a lot of possibilities, and not only in Costa Rica but also across the border, and then for Central America. And then I think it ends up finally with working in your network and contact people and try if they get interested in TYPO3. So I see a lot of possibilities there.
Thank you, Bert. Philippe.
I think it's a really tremendous opportunity to have this first discussion. As you said, this should be the beginning of the dialogue. For me personally, TYPO3 and its community has been an engine of personal self-development and business development also. I met a lot of interesting people. I changed my view on many things. I learned many new things, new ways to do business, many ways to do websites, to be in the digital world. So I think it was really interesting. I'm glad I was here with you guys today and able to talk and give my small insights on things from Quebec.
Thank you very much, Philippe. And Paul?
Well, you know, we've been talking a lot about community onboarding in the marketing team and probably in other committees. So I really want to see that initiative move forward, because that's a lot of what we need here is we have pages on the website about how to get involved with TYPO3. but there's nobody there inviting you into the community and really connecting with you personally. So that's kind of the approach that I'd like to see, is to forge some personal connections and build from a community rather than yeah, I mean, there should be this economic aspect of it, that you can build better websites or keep your customers for longer or something else. But at the end of the day, the community and that is built around TYPO3 and expanding that is what's important to me. So it's like, I like to say that the TYPO3, like against the competition, like WordPress, that TYPO3 is different, but those differences can be strengths for you.
Very good point. So let's turn the fact that we are not yet strong into finding the ways into which we can be. So thank you very much to all our panelists, and looking forward to develop this dialogue. Now we will move to the main stage, where we will have Philippe again, together with Patrick Goumont, to present us the great showcase of the government of Quebec using TYPO3. So thank you very much, and see you on the stage.